Yeah, I was supposed to introduce. This is Salim Lakhani. I think everyone knows you're here for 3 ways to run Drupal on AWS. I'll just kind of try and keep an eye on the time and on the chat in case Salim doesn't. And at the end, there'll be Q&A. And um, is there a point where you want to start Q&A, Salim?
After I'm done, I guess, or any time in the middle is fine too. So just interrupt me. It's a small group. I don't, I think we'll go fast here. So um,
Cool.
I'm
All
I'm
right, take it
Salim.
away.
Okay, hi, I'm Salim. That's my wife in the background. So say hi,
Ah,
man. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Um, I'm going to be talking about the 3 ways to deploy Drupal on AWS, and let's see, a little background on myself. Um, so I started back in, I started in the tech and back in the 90s with Unix and Linux. I used to teach it, but I started with, I don't know if you guys know Yggdrasil and Slackware and Debian. So that's kind of my background, and that's when I started with Linux. And I started with Drupal in the early 2000s with Drupal 4. So I go back that far. Um, I started with hosting in the early mid 2000s, uh, and we were doing colos and VPSs and Plesk and control panel, or cPanel and stuff like that. So that's my little background with hosting. And we started working with AWS, I think a couple of years after it came out. I think it came out around 2006 or 2007. And the first things we started using were EC2s and S3, like we were trying to move our stuff from the colos into EC2. So that's kind of like our experience. My experience kind of goes back that far with AWS. Um, let's see. So today I'm with DevPanel. I'm the CTO of DevPanel. We do a control panel. It's like Acquia, Pantheon type of control panel, but we run our client sites in their AWS account. So it's a wrapper around AWS, and we use Kubernetes. I work a lot with Kubernetes. And we're a technology partner with AWS. I work a lot with AWS, and I'm an ambassador with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So I run a lot of meetups for them, and I talk uh, for them. So okay, so why AWS? So besides the fact that they're the top uh, performer in the cloud infrastructure place. They're in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and they had this global infrastructure of data centers and regions and availability zones and stuff. They have over 200 products and services, uh, and it's very comprehensive, as you guys probably already know. Um, and the promise of AWS is, it's easy to deploy, easy to manage, it's infinitely scalable, it's automatically, everything is secure, it's plug and play tools, managed services, and it's affordable infrastructure, and everything is super easy to use, right? But is it? You know, uh, when you go into AWS and you look at their services, there's this whole plethora of services, and I'm just showing a third of the page here. So you can just scroll on, and there's for each of these services, there's over 100 settings, in most of them. So it gets very complicated very quickly, right? And it actually takes a degree to run AWS. Actually, they have several degrees here, so you can get certified in several different ways. So our when you work with AWS, it's not easy, and it's very easy to misconfigure things. So that's how our company came about. Is we try and automate dev panel using the tools like Terraform, Helm, CloudFormation, Ansible, and Kubernetes. And this is our control panel. I will talk about some of this, but this is what it kind of looks like. And we do one-click installation of applications, and then deployment. We give you tools like everything runs in your account, runs in the client's accounts, and then we give you browser-based development tools from the control panel like VS Code and PHP-MyAdmin and so on. So far, we've been doing enterprise. We've been working with enterprise clients and running things on EKS, which is their Kubernetes service. But we have the tool set, and now we're actually trying to move this tool set and seeing if we can help the community deploy their applications into Lightsail as well. So now we're starting to work a little bit with Lightsail, and this is still under development. So, but I will in this session we're going to talk about 3 ways to deploy, and we're developing this format for Quickstarts uh, to Lightsail and to other infrastructure, to even to Kubernetes. So I'll talk about Quickstarts. It's a template for templating for Drupal applications, and you can use it for distros. You can use it for any type of project. And once you set it up, you can actually share this template URL with other people, and they can spin that up. Um, so and once you've spun up that template, you can deploy that into Lightsail, or you can deploy that into Kubernetes. So I'll walk through all of those things. That's in our community edition that we're pushing out. So the quick start, the way the quick starts work is you can create your own quick start. Anyone can. It gives you can create an application template. You can put your data, you can put your theme, you can put your modules, you can put all the pieces that you want in it, and then you can build a one-click build URL. You can generate a one-click build URL from it. And then from that one-click build URL, users can deploy uh, that deploy development environments from it. All of this, your entire template is saved in your Git repo, so anybody can actually spin this up without without having um, without having access to dev panel or anything, and then they can deploy it from there into their even their Lightsail accounts or servers and things like that. So that's background on Quickstart. Um, this is I'm gonna demo this with the OpenY distribution. It's just the OpenY distribution is a publicly available distribution that is used by the YMCA's, and it's a Drupal distribution. Looks very nice. It's very full. It's full featured, and it has a lot of different formats available, themes available. So what we did was we took that and we created a quick start template from it. So I'll do that. But this URL that you get and you can distribute to other people, it has several different pieces to it. One is the quick start application that you're calling on dev panel. This is still running in beta. So it's still in the community version. Um, And what you're telling the quick start to do is you're telling it that this is the application that you're sending it, the repo that you're sending it is a Drupal 9 application. We're going to be looking at the master branch of this repo. And essentially here's the address of the repo. So you click on it, and then this is what you're going to get as the output, as a full running application. So So it takes some minutes to run. So I recorded this demo, but I recorded this yesterday, so we can skip through this. But what this will do is it'll grab your code, database dump, and files from the repo, and it will create a dev environment with a Cloud IDE, VS Code, PHPMyAdmin, and then if you modify any of this, you can save your work back to the repo. So um, I will run this here. And let me play this here, and I can talk over this as this is playing. Can you guys watch this? Yeah, it looks like you can watch this running. Okay. So as soon as you start the quick start, you'll get this template, and then it'll ask you if you want to fork the repo. You can answer yes or no. If you fork it, we connect to your GitLab account, and we'll create a repo in your GitLab account. If you say no, then you don't connect to your GitLab. We just create the container for you, and that's it. Um, so here we'll say yes, fork the repo, and then that allows you to make changes and save your changes back to your own repo. So you can connect to your GitLab account, give a name of the repo, click next, click confirm, and create the project. And then this is where it takes a few minutes to run. And you'll see here, you'll see Terraform and Ansible scripts running. And so this takes a few minutes to run. I think I'm gonna forward this. Okay, so it should be getting done now. Oh, okay. So now after it's done processing, you get a URL. Um, you get the URL to the application, and then you get PHPMyAdmin, you get VS Code, and so on. Yeah. Okay. And then so you click on the application. And then there's the application that's built out for you, and this all came from the repo, and there's the VS Code that you get. Oh, there's the PHPMyAdmin that you get. You can work with the database here, and there's the VS Code. And this VS Code, I don't know if you guys have used VS Code in the browser, but it also comes with the terminal. We've preloaded that with Composer, so you can do your development right there. And this is actually a live dev environment. So it works just like a local dev environment, but in the cloud. So if you go in, oh, and we also loaded that with Drush. So there's Drush in here. And I'm showing this to you because this is all in our community version, and this is something you can use right away. So the next thing is if you want to edit, for example, I'll show you if we edit the index file here, and we'll put in PHP info, and this is a live dev environment. It's like a live dev environment, just like if you would have it on your laptop. So if you edit anything in VS Code, you'll see it immediately. You'll see the effect of it immediately without even committing the code back to Git. So if you uncomment that and you refresh it now, the site is back. So that is that. Okay, and then the way the Quickstarts are built, just so I'll give you a little quick walkthrough. In the dumps directory under dev panel, there's a dumps directory, and in there we save the database dump and the files dump, and that's what's used to generate the template. And then in the Quickstart directory, there's a couple of files in there. The create Quickstart, so if you make any modifications to your application and you want to create your own version of this application, then you can just run the create Quickstart and it will give you a new Quickstart URL. But this Quickstart URL was the one that came from the repo. This is the one that we used to generate this application. So in that file, the Quickstart URL file is the application URL that we used originally here. So that's the Quickstart. That's how you can set up templates for applications that you can share with others. And then right. Okay, so just the pros and cons of the Quickstart template is that everything's in the repo, so it's very portable. But the con is everything is in the repo, so you have to be careful about the security of things that you put in the repo, and there is some scripting involved, so you have to make sure that it deploys correctly and everything works before you're sharing things with other people. When we generate the application, when you generate the Quickstart application, we bundle it correctly, but you do have to test it. So it's designed to work with any application, so you can use it with WordPress, you can use it with multi-sites, you can use it with any LAMP application that you want. It's a portable template. It's easy to duplicate and share. It's easy to modify. It's one-click application creation, and there's many ways to deploy it. And it works on a lot of different hosting companies, so you can deploy it on. You can actually pull this application into any kind of servers as well. It's ideal if you're trying to set up like a site factory, your own template of applications, or you're trying to build a SaaS service, like applications that you want to sell or distribute. But on the downside, you have to be able to debug this stuff yourself. So, okay. So once you have this set up, the next thing is Lightsail deployment of Quickstarts and Lightsail deployment of applications. So this is the next thing here is in Lightsail, and just a general overview of Lightsail. You can, if you go into Lightsail, you can pick a region. It's a scaled down version of AWS, so it's less complicated. You can pick a version of the operating system. You can pick application like Drupal. You can pick, what type of server you want. Um, we'll just pick the small server here, and you get a free month of that. I'm going to put in the name for this server. You can do your tags and so on, and then you create the server. It takes a few minutes to create the server, and the server, once it's created and you open the server, it's you'll see that the server has storage. It has all this, all the things that it creates for you. Um, but as soon as you create the server, it's not available right away. So you have to be careful of that. You have to wait a few minutes for actually the server to come alive. So, and it has the shell built into it, so you can connect to the shell. And again, when you boot up the server right away, you're going to get an error on the shell. So you have to wait a few minutes. So while this is booting up, I'll go back and give you a tour of Lightsail. Have you guys used Lightsail before? Justin, I know we have talked, and I know you have used Lightsail before. Okay, yeah. So Chris, this is a good overview. You can pick your disk size. Uh, it's a very simplified version of AWS. It actually uses the AWS services on the back end, but it has fixed fees. So a lot of people like that. So you can get and with Lightsail, AWS is trying to compete with Linode and DigitalOcean and stuff. So that's the price point for Lightsail. So you can create static IPs if you want. And we always recommend you create static IPs and then you hold on to that static IP and then you connect that to your server and to your service, um, so that if you replace the server, you can still hold on to that static IP. But it also has load balancing. It has CDN on it, so it does offer some of the services, advanced services that you would expect from AWS. You can set up snapshots, manual. You can do manual snapshots, or you can set up automatic snapshots of your server. Always recommended because servers do go down. Um, and then you can tag it. There's a history of deployments, and then or history of the instances. And then we'll try and connect to this instance again. I think this time it's come up now. They use a Bitnami image inside these containers, inside these servers. So that quick start that we saw, what we will do is we'll be able to load. So if we look at the site now, it's loaded a basic Drupal site for you now. Okay. And you can run, it's also got Drush built into it, so you can do a Drush ULI and you can log into that site and get its password. But if we go back to that repo, in that repo, in the Quickstart under dev panel directory, if you go under Quickstart, there is a file. There's README in there, and there is a file called deploy to Bitnami markdown file, and it has a URL in there. So if you copy that, sorry, it has a command in there. If you copy that command and you paste it here, that will extract, and we generate that for you. So that will extract that file, that will extract that Quickstart that will pull that Quickstart from the repo into this server and deploy it. So here you see it getting deployed. So this takes a little 5 minutes or so, or a few minutes, I would say, but it runs your composer install and essentially sets up Drupal in here, overwriting the existing one. So any questions? And this is a particularly large distro of Drupal, so it takes a little time, but the smaller ones go much faster. Yeah, you can. Chris is asking if you can pick a version of Drupal. When you are creating the quick start, you can pick which version of Drupal you want. So I will show you that. We can talk about that next. So I'll keep that in mind. Hi, John. Right now, it only works with GitLab. Um, and oh, right. Justin has a good point. Lightsail only supports version 9 today. But Justin, we took a look at that, and on that, using the Drupal 9 template, we can actually install even install Drupal 7 or Drupal 8 on it. So that wouldn't be a problem. Okay, now this you saw. Let me back up here. So this is running. This is the VPS. After we did the install, after the install was complete, so it says migration successful. It says migration successful, and then you go back to the VPS and you refresh the page. This should load up. This will load up the OpenY distribution. So now you have taken the stuff from the repo and we put that into the VPS. So yeah, going back, John, yeah, this is right now only supported on GitLab because GitHub does not have the large file support, as good of support for large files. So when we're putting the database and files and things like that, GitLab has a much more robust support for that. So what we did here was essentially we did the server setup. So you go into the steps that we had to follow was you go into Lightsail first, you create your server first, right? And Lightsail. The other thing is these scripts are all our scripts are all open source, so you can take that and you can modify it for DigitalOcean or Linode or whatever you want to install that in. And then you log into your server and you pull your from your Git repo, you pull that image down into your server, and then you run a script that will pull the image down and will extract it and install that repo, files from the repo. Once that's done, then it's up to you to go into Lightsail and configure the IP and configure the domain and configure the SSL and so on. So those are the steps here that you have to follow. Okay, so the next thing here is the using the Lightsail server, the pros and cons. Um, it's easy to create. Well, it's the quick starts are easy to create. It's available from any hosting company. The Bitnami images, I should say, are easy to create servers with. Are available from any hosting company, not just Lightsail. Um, they're pretty much as cheap as you can get. Starting at $350 a month and more. You have SSH and FTP access if you're used to that, and I think it's pretty old school, but everybody knows how to do that. And it's great for small sites. Okay, so that's the caveat I'm going to put in there. They have bigger servers and stuff like that, but if you're going to go with big server, or if you're going to go with big sites, then I would stay away from servers. I would go with the container technology. Um, it's ideal for for personal sites, for small brochure sites, but I wouldn't put mission critical sites on this stuff. The con is that it requires some work on your part to set up, deploy, and manage. And once you've deployed it, there's no easy way to go back and create dev test versions of it, because if you redeploy it, you might overwrite the database and you might overwrite the files and things like that. So that's something you have to be careful of. Um, the servers in itself, when you're running one server, it's like a pet or cattle, debate, right? I like them both, right? But they're not, servers are not fault tolerant. So you have to be careful of running things on servers, because servers do go down. And it's not like you're running multiple containers, or you're running a fault tolerant architecture. Servers will need OS upgrade and patches. With containers, it's easy because you can just rebuild a container and it will generally pull in the new OS image, or it can generally pull in a new patch level for PHP and so on. Right? As soon as you rebuild it, they'll just pull in a new patch level. But with servers, it's not that easy. So that's something you have to be careful of. Okay, so now we've looked at the quick start. You looked at a template. Template was in the GitLab repo. We took it from the GitLab repo. We pulled it into a Lightsail server. Now let's look at how you take that template and deploy it to EKS. Okay, so setting up EKS is I'll say it's beyond the scope of this presentation, but it can be done very easily with the community version of DevPanel. You can bring your account, you can connect it with the community version of DevPanel, and we will create a small cluster for you in your account. Okay? So we automate that for you, and you can then create sites on your cluster. So once you have a cluster connected to DevPanel, you can deploy sites into it. So from the GitLab repo, we already have the code, we have the dump, the database dump, the files dump, and then what we'll see is we're going to create the dev environment. We already saw that we had we're going to create a dev environment uh, in Kubernetes with the Cloud IDE and VS Code, phpMyAdmin, and then we'll deploy it. We can deploy that to your cluster. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, so, let me actually play the recording here. So here you create the project. This is in dev panel. We're going to create the project, and then we're going to deploy this into the cluster. So it's a Drupal 9 project. Again, we say we're connecting to GitLab. We're saying that you're going to connect to your repo, and then you have two choices: create a new repo or connect to an existing repo. We're going to say we want to open an existing repo. So we'll search for OpenY, and then we'll pick one of those. Click next. Oh, I forgot to pick the branch. So pick the branch, click next. And this will build out the repo on your cluster. So if you have your cluster connected to dev panel, this is now working on your cluster. This is now building out on your cluster. So first thing we did was we connected the repo. Now we're going through and we're building out. So let me back up, actually. I skipped a step. So here we connected the repo to dev panel to your account. The cluster is already connected. The next thing we'll say is deploy now. So once you've connected the repo, you could go in and you say deploy now, and then you can say from scratch, and you go in and say next for security, and you say configure settings. You can say enable code server, enable phpMyAdmin. You'll select the Nginx version. You can select the PHP version, and you just click next, next, and then builds it out. The build process is similar like last time that we saw. On the Quickstarts build on the dev panel cluster. That's the community cluster. And when you build out a Quickstart, those Quickstarts last for about 4 hours. And then after 4 hours, they get deleted. When you're building out applications on your own cluster, they can last for as long as you want them to last. They're running on your cluster. So here, the application built out on your cluster. Again, it comes with phpMyAdmin and VS Code. And this has terminal. You've seen that it has Composer built into it. Yep, saw that earlier. So it has everything that we saw earlier. And this can be used as your production environment in your cluster. The other thing you can do is turn this into a deployment. Here, now if you go back into your develop or into your GitLab and you create a develop branch, come back to dev panel, and you'll go back into all branches. You'll see that now you have master and develop. And then you can take your develop branch and you can say, oh, you want to clone the master into develop, the database and files from master into develop, and you can click through that. And now you can create a clone of your master into develop. So you can do your development in your own cluster as well. So that's how you can deploy your applications into EKS. So you can create your Quickstart template, store it into the repo, pull it into Lightsail, or you can deploy it to EKS. To deploy it to EKS, easiest way is to just connect your AWS account into dev panel, and then dev panel will actually create a cluster in your AWS account and then manage that cluster and then deploy applications in there. So the pros and cons for EKS for Kubernetes cluster is the pro is that it's totally enterprise grade infrastructure. It is not going to go down. It is all the components there are managed by AWS. But the con is it is not cheap to operate. Like at idle, I guess it depends on your definition of cheap. But at idle, it costs around $300 to $400 to run. But even at that level, if you're running small sites, you can run 20 sites on it easily. So it's enterprise grade infrastructure. It's fairly automated because everything is managed for you, so things don't go down. It's auto scaling. Um, it's fault tolerant, and it's container based architecture. So it scales well, and you get all the benefits of that. It's easy to update and patch. It has a good development, good dev test, uh, live kind of workflow. It has flexible tools and technology. But on the con side, it's if if you try and manage it yourself, it's not easy to manage if things go wrong, and it requires expertise to manage and or automation to manage. Um, but this is ideal if if you want to build your own web ops service, or you want to build if you want to build your own Pantheon, then it's great to use something like this. Um, you can manage you can use it to manage multiple clients. There's no limits on how many sites or projects you can create in something like this. It's very scalable, and it's great for running multiple sites and large sites. So if you have large sites that need to scale up and scale down, it's good for that. And it's good for mission critical sites or finely tuned sites where you need a lot of different services and you want to bring in different things from AWS. So that's the Kubernetes pros and cons. And uh, so going back to dev panel, so now we're bringing out the community version. This is still in beta, and if you want access, let us know. We're happy to set you up on it. Um, and then once you're on the community version, there's already a path to the enterprise version that we have. Um, and so yeah, it's under development. It's free to use, but the cost of it is that you will be helping us test new features, and we're going to need your input on the UI and UX. So that's the price. Everything has a cost, so everything has a price. So that's the price of using the community edition. The you can develop when you're using the community edition. You can develop on dev panel servers, and you can deploy on your own servers or clusters. So if you're interested, just contact us through dev panel. But that's it for this presentation. Uh, any questions? You can contact me if you have, even after this, if you have questions, there's my email address, and I'm Salim on Drupal Slack. So any questions, you guys? Justin, John, Chris. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, we have a question from Jonathan. Do you have to set up a separate database for each deployment, full blue-green deployments? You do not have to set up a separate database. No, we use one RDS for everything. So there's one RDS for all applications, for all projects. In your account, you have one RDS setup and one EKS setup, one Kubernetes setup. So And there's full blue-green deployments if you do deployments. So if you're just using applications like dev test live or dev test master and you connect your domains to it, you can do that too. But if you actually set up tag deployments, then you can do blue-green deployments. So I did not cover tag deployments here, but you can do tag deployments as well. And when you do tag deployments, you can have multiple containers running for each of the deployments, and then you can do rollbacks for each of the deployments. You can do previews, and then you can do rollouts as well. So. Is there a Slack channel to discuss Drupal? There is not. We have a dev panel. We have our own Slack for dev panel where we have users, but we can create a dev panel Slack on Drupal, so I can set that up. And Jonathan, if you have questions, hit me up on Drupal Slack or just email me. Be happy to help. Alyssa, yes, thank you. Something I've run into before is tag deployments on a single database. When you deploy a new tag, how do you decide when Drush cache rebuild and what not should run? Yeah, I think we can take that offline. That's we can have we can do build files as well for each of the deployments, so that when you create a deployment, you can have it go through different steps for each deployment. That's what we've done in the past. So, yeah. Okay. There's nothing else, then I will let you guys go. Hey, Bob. Good to see you here. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.